Hello everyone, Jamie Meloni here, host of the all-new That Business Show 2.0, where business becomes show business. This is the real estate edition of the program, airing each Thursday. New episodes on thatbusinessnetwork.com, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and also available on YouTube and on iTunes. And also this past week, we've made the real estate edition a separate podcast available on iTunes, which separates it from the general show of That Business Show 2.0. So now if you search for That Business Show 2.0, the real estate edition, you'll be able to pull up just the real estate topics of the program. People that aren't familiar with the show and finding it on the air on YouTube or iTunes for the first time, this is a show that talks with different business owners, professionals, community, and political leaders each and every morning on thatbusinessnetwork.com via video stream, also available then at the end of the week on YouTube and on iTunes, as well as many other podcasting platforms. Myself, I'm a realtor with Coldwell Banker and sold over 1,600 homes in the past 10 years. So each week I like to talk about the real estate business and what you need to know to navigate the marketplace, whether you're buying a home, selling a home, whether you're a real estate agent. We cover a lot of different topics on the program from a variety of different angles. And so today's program is going to be geared more towards the buyers out there on the marketplace. And so before I begin, I'd like to let anybody know, if you're looking to buy a home anywhere in the country, please consider me a resource. If you're in Tampa Bay, I can help you directly. Just reach out to me. Jamie at tampabayradio.com is my email address. Phone number 813-760-8516. That is my cell number, 813-760-8516. That information there available on the screen for ease of remembrance and ease of use. But anywhere in the country, I can help you. If you go to thathomesearch.com, put in your information, and we'll get you over a real estate professional through our vast relocation and referral network. So it doesn't matter if you're listening to me in Utah or California or anywhere in the continental or even Alaska and Hawaii, I should say, United States. We can help you with one of our relocation and referral specialists. So again, thathomesearch.com. And we'll be happy to help you out with finding a new home. So what are the three things, first off, a buyer should concentrate on when purchasing a new home? The first thing they're going to be looking at is obviously the price of the home. And that's going to be, all over the place depending on where you're at in the marketplace. But the price of the home is just the starting point of the negotiation. So don't get bogged down, if the price is high versus the other homes that you have seen. You want to work with a real estate professional that can help you find the median value of the home prices in an area that you want to be at. If you're going to be purchasing a home with financing, the price of the home is going to be brought in line with the appraised value of the home. So you as a consumer will be protected versus from overpaying on a home from the appraisal. Now, if you get a cash offer, then you're not going to do an appraisal, although you can have an appraisal contingency put into the contract. A lot of people, though, that are buying with cash do not use an appraisal. But if you're using a mortgage, that's going to be a requirement of all mortgaged transactions to make sure that the lender is adequately protected and to make sure that the loan to value fits in with their underwriting guidelines. So be sure to discuss the values of the homes with your real estate agent. They will be able to give you a fair market opinion of value, BPO or a CMA, whatever you want to call it, comparative market analysis or a broker price opinion. They go by different names out there in the marketplace, depending on who you're working with and depending on where they're at. But find the homes that you're comfortable with. And again, don't be too concerned if the home is priced high versus other homes that you've seen in the areas. Home sellers always like to start high with their home values. And one thing that you want to look at is time on market. If the home is just listed and the home seems like it's a good value, you're probably going to know this because you've looked for homes for probably several months before making a decision. If you're somebody who's just starting to look at homes in a neighborhood or start looking at homes to buy, you're not going to be highly familiar with what's going on in the marketplace. And I've talked about this on other programs before when it comes to pricing a home properly from a seller's standpoint. At any given moment, there are people ready, willing, and able to buy your home at a certain strike price because they've been looking for 3 to 6 months. They know the prices on the marketplace, and they know when a property is priced at fair market value. And in an undersupplied real estate market, they're going to jump on that. But if you price your home too high, then it's going to sit for a while until either the market catches up with that or until you bring the value down. So again, it's very important that you price your home to sell within 7 to 14 days. So from a buyer's standpoint, you've been looking for 3 to 6 months, you see a home come onto the marketplace. That's when you want to consult with a real estate agent and say, what's the situation on this home? We need to take immediate action and make an offer at maybe even over list price. If you're looking at a home that's been on the market 90 plus days, 100 plus days, obviously it's overpriced. If a home hasn't sold within 30 days, it's overpriced, the bottom line, and especially in an undersupplied real estate market. If there's an excess of supply and the absorption rate is low, I mean, a property could be priced right, but the absorption of the properties takes time. That's a whole different talking point right there. That happens a lot with vacant land in our marketplace. A piece of inner city vacant land, a 5,000 square foot lot, goes anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 on average in the city of Tampa, but it may take 6 to 9 months for that to sell. And meanwhile, if you price it way low, you'd have to price it far under market value to get a quick strike price or quick offer on that property. So again, it comes down to, proper pricing and, the time on the market. So if something's on the market for a long time, you shouldn't offer list price, and don't expect the selling or listing agent of the property to tell you that there's multiple offers on the property or strong demand. That argument, can come into play and be used, or negotiating point can be used when the home is first listed, but it's not going to be used when the home is, 100 plus days on the marketplace, unless there's been a price reduction or unless there's been some type of significant repair to the property that would justify that. So be mindful of that. Make sure that you compare price and time on market as a home buyer. It's very telling of the demand for a home. So again, if it goes on the market and you know that the home is priced well because you've been looking at other homes, be ready to act quickly in the market right now because it's undersupplied, especially here in Tampa. Can't speak for all markets necessarily across the country, but generally speaking, we are in a seller's market across the country in most marketplaces. If the home is 100 plus days on the market, it's overpriced, and so you shouldn't be offering at the list price or over the list price on the property unless the home has had a price reduction or unless it's had some type of repair. Again, you'll have an appraisal that'll be done on the property, but appraisals they are a protection for buyers, but historically appraisals usually come in at the contract price of the property. This is one of the things that I talk a lot on the show about what doesn't make sense in real estate. An appraiser shouldn't see the contract of the property because now he or she is influenced on what the value of the property is, so he or she doesn't want to mess up the transaction, even though their loyalty is supposed to be or is with the lender to say, you're lending on a property that is worth X, and so if you're, offering, with a 80% loan to value, then if it's worth $100,000, you're safe by requiring $20,000 down. But nonetheless, appraisals the appraiser shouldn't see the contract price of the property because then they're uninfluenced on the value of the property. But 9 times out of 10, the appraisal will see the price is $100,000, and then that's what the appraised value is going to come in at. Over the last couple years, though, and ever since the housing crisis, some appraisers have gotten a little bit more. I should say, conservative with their estimates, and they'll come in low depending on where you're at out there in the market. But by and large, appraisals usually come in at the contract price. So that's why it's important to use a realtor to also get you a fair market opinion of value, because they're going to act on your behalf much more so than the appraiser, whose loyalty is with the lender. So the realtor, even though realtors are transaction brokers in Florida, and I've talked about that on the program before, they're not necessarily loyal to you. They're there to affect a transaction and get the deal done and kind of guide you through the process. They're not there to give you loyalty, although most realtors do act in some capacity. You expect that as a client of theirs. So ask them for a fair market value on the property. Ask them for a CMA that's done on the property in addition to the appraisal to make sure that you're getting a good, fair offer put in on the property. Next thing you want to be concerned about with the home is the condition of the home. You're probably going to spend no more than 15 or 20 minutes inside a home before you make an offer. You may go back for a second or a third showing. Most people go in one time and will make an offer. And so condition of the home is only what you see. You, of course, will want to have a home inspection contingency inside the contract, and it's very common and it's expected on behalf of most sellers to have that inside the contract. And so you want to give yourself at least probably 7 to 10 days, depending on the size of the home, depending on the availability of the home inspectors. It's important to talk to a realtor who has a good relationship with like a few home inspectors and can give you at least 3 different recommendations. And so you can go out there and check their availability and make sure that they can meet the contract time frame for you to do a home inspection. I always advise, especially when you're dealing with the bank-owned properties, banks rarely like inspections longer than 7 to 10 days, that you abide by that in the initial offer. Do the inspection, and then if something arises that you're not comfortable with, then doing an addendum to request additional time for a longer inspection period. So, and a home inspector is only a general inspector. They're not an expert in any one category necessarily, although they could be. But it's very common for a home inspector to come in, go through the property, point out things of concern, such as maybe the roof, maybe the electrical, maybe the AC, and they'll recommend that you have an additional inspector that is licensed and qualified specifically in that field come in and take a look at that component. So home inspections are typically in our marketplace 7 to 10 days for the average size home. If you're dealing with something very large, it could take much longer. If you're dealing with commercial property, that's a whole other thing. But the typical 1,500 to 2,500 square foot residential home, 7 to 10 days. And if you find something that is of concern, have your realtor write an addendum for an additional time on the inspection. And if it's not granted, then you tell them that you're going to have to withdraw from the contract. When we come back from the break, we'll talk about the importance of location and what you should look for when purchasing a home. And again, if I can help you out anywhere in the country buying a home, please visit thathomesearch.com. And you can also learn more about my real estate business at my website, jamiemeloni.com. New episodes of the Real Estate Edition air each Thursday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on thatbusinessnetwork.com. So you've been listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, the Real Estate Edition, where business becomes show business.
Our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Hi, Jackie Skelton from JR World Travel here. If you travel, you need a licensed professional travel consultant, not a computer. Your licensed professional consultant can get you more for your time and your money. Value for your money and experience, not marketing salesmanship. When you're sick, you call the doctor. When you need legal advice, you call an attorney. So the next time you want to go on any type of travel, call your licensed professional travel consultant who actually represents you. We specialise in group travel, family reunions, weddings, to escorting large groups or making special arrangements for the disabled. Please call 844-249-0190. We are a full-service travel consultancy offering worldwide concierge service. Air, land, sea, rivers, resorts, locally, nationally and internationally. Remember that number, 844-249-0190.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Edition of That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Meloni, where each Thursday real estate becomes show business on this new edition of the program, each Thursday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, on demand on iTunes and on YouTube. And also we've separated this podcast out on iTunes to be a separate podcast from the original That Business Show 2.0 again, but all available on demand at the end of each week after we air the programs on the show. Also, we have a fan page on Facebook for the real estate portion of the show. That's facebook.com/ it's under Tampa Bay REO right now because that was my original website years ago, and on Facebook I've changed that a couple of times, and Facebook doesn't allow you to keep changing that, so I want to change that to facebook.com/Jamie Meloni Real Estate at some point, but right now I'm stuck with /Tampa Bay REO, which is the business that I first came into with foreclosure sales. But now as the business begins to expand and diversify more and more, I find myself doing retail and also commercial real estate. So I can help you in any areas of real estate here in Tampa Bay or across the country. Simply start at thathomesearch.com or jamiemeloni.com to get in touch with me. And again, sold 1,600, maybe even 1,700 homes here in the Tampa Bay region. Been on the Wall Street Journal list, top 100 brokers 3 or 4 different times, and a top 10 Coldwell Banker agent on a national level 3 different times, hitting number 4 2 years ago. This is the peak point in the Coldwell Banker agents. And Coldwell Banker is a 100-year-old international brand with hundreds of thousands of agents across the globe. And so to be ranked nationally within Coldwell Banker is a tremendous feat and something I'm very, very proud of. So we're talking about what you as a home buyer today should be concerned with when looking to purchase a home. We're talking about offering prices and what to be aware of with regard to making offers on a home. We talked about the condition of the home, the importance of a home inspection. Again, I want to elaborate a little bit more on the home inspection. A typical home inspector, you can be out there within 2 or 3 days. Takes 2 to 4 hours to do your typical home inspection. You also want to make sure at that same time that you have a WDO inspection, a wood destroying organisms, or a termite report that goes along with that. That's typically $60, $70, $75 for a termite report. And the inspector goes out, walks around the home. He's usually done with that in about 20 to 25 minutes or so. They can knock out the termite report. Now, important though, if you're buying a HUD home, I talk a lot about HUD homes on this home, and you're using an FHA loan, HUD, which is the seller in this point, is going to order a termite inspection on the home. So don't waste your money and order a termite inspection on the home. I see a lot of buyers make that mistake because of misguidance from their real estate agent. But if you're buying a HUD-owned property and you're using an FHA mortgage, the government, HUD in this situation, is acting as the seller, and they will supply the termite report for you. So good information to remember right there. A few other things to be mindful of with regard to condition of the home. Lead-based paint, homes built prior to 1978. It's a standard disclosure in real estate. If you have children under the age of 5, that's the ones who are most affected by homes that have lead-based paint. Since 1978, lead was taken out of household paints, but the problem was kids would find the loose paint, they would put it in their mouth, and it would cause disease and defect of some sort. I'm not sure about the medical ramifications of it, but it's detrimental to the health of children. And so that's an inspection that you'd want to have done on homes built prior to 1978. Another problem that came about in Florida and some other markets was Chinese drywall. And those homes primarily affected were mostly 2007 to 2009, maybe into 2006. But during that time, what happened is the supply of drywall got very low in America, and so we had to buy drywall from overseas in China. And the production methods of Chinese drywall were not to the same standards as American drywall. And if you know anything about drywall production, which I know a little bit about, I won't go too much into that, but sulfuric acid, sulfur is produced in the process. And so what it's doing is they weren't driving off all the sulfuric gases from the drywall during the production. And so when it was installed inside homes, those gases were then continuing to evaporate from the drywall, and it would corrode copper surfaces, metal surfaces. The jury is still out on the effects that it was having or will have on human health. Some people said it's detrimental. Some people said it's only detrimental to the metal parts of the home. Regardless, it produces a very bad odor. It has a smell of rotten eggs, and it will corrode your copper fittings over time. And depending on how much of it is used in a home, if the home was built entirely with it, it's going to destroy the copper on the AC. It's going to destroy the copper on the electrical outlets within a matter of a year or a couple of years. and you're going to have to continually replace that. But you're going to know from the smell of the home that there's Chinese drywall. But where you run into issues is, just say if something was remodeled. They did a remodel in 2008, and they just took out, 2 of the bedrooms and replaced the drywall in those rooms. So now you don't have the smell as noticeable, but it still is acting on the metal inside the home. So what can you do to be mindful of it? First line of defense is the odor. If it's strong enough, you're going to smell rotten eggs. The second thing is look at the copper fittings inside the home, and you can either take out a wall outlet and see the copper that's going into the switch plates at all your electrical switches, the copper going onto the water heater, or the copper associated with the AC air handler. If those have turned black, then that is a sign of Chinese drywall inside the house, or defective drywall. And so you can have a Chinese drywall inspection done on the property. They run between $400 and $500 depending on the location, but $400 or $500 will get you a test. And if the home has Chinese drywall, run. You don't want to buy a home with Chinese drywall. It's an absolute disaster to have to remediate that. The only way to remediate it is to rip everything out of the house and reinstall it. There is no fix for Chinese drywall. Some people think that over enough time the sulfur gases are driven off and it'll reach a point of stability. You still got to go back in and replace all the copper fittings that have been affected, but most people know that they have to replace all the drywall inside the home. I've sold probably 3 or 4 bank-owned properties that have had that problem in the homes, and we've ripped out the entire home and put in new drywall. There's no way around it. And we're talking about taking out the kitchen cabinets, the bath vanities, all of that stuff has to come out to get the drywall completely out of the house. And whether or not insurance covers that, honestly, I don't know. It may or may not, but still, have an inspection for a home that is built between, to be safe, 2006 to 2009. To make sure that you're not buying a home with Chinese drywall. Again, very, very important a part of the buying process, knowing about the different conditions of the homes. Now, the location of the home is, of course, very important. We hear a lot of times about, what's the most important thing in real estate? 3 most important things in real estate: location, location, location. And so you want to be buying in a point or a place that is going to have stability, it's going to have conformity to the neighborhood, because conformity ultimately is what protects value in a neighborhood. If you buy a non-conforming home, chances are the price of it will be unstable throughout the lifetime of the property. And that's why you see so many homes in Florida built inside subdivisions where all the homes look the same, because the homes are going to stay fairly stable in value. If the homes are on the same street and they're the identical builds, one's not going to be worth $50,000 more than the other one. They're the exact same home, so they're going to be very stable in price. They are going to be conforming. So you want to look also at the conformity of a home when you're looking at a location of a home. It can be, maybe a little bit boring to buy a conforming home if you want to have something unique. Just be mindful, though, that conformity is one of the primary drivers of the sustainability of the value of the home. Location in regard to major roadways is another concern with a lot of buyers, and will come into play with the resale of the home. So make sure your home doesn't back up to a major highway, or has a view of the interstate, or backs up to a sewage pond or a settling pond inside a subdivision. Be sure that there's not overhead power lines with a home, something that a lot of people are mindful of. So location is key. Make sure that you're also not maybe the first 1, 2, or 3 houses inside a subdivision or off a main road because of traffic, road noise. You want to be back inside a subdivision because the sound and the quiet nature of a neighborhood is something very important to the resale value of a home. A lot of buyers like conservation lots, no rear neighbors. Be mindful of rear neighbors. Rear neighbors are a detractor from the resale of a property. And another thing also, make sure you're not located at the front of a T intersection. If you got a road that's coming this way and a road going this way, that intersection right there, because if somebody drives through the stop sign, they're going to drive right into your house. And so cross sections of roads are another point when you're looking at location of a home that you want to be looking out for. Train tracks are another detriment to the resale of the home. So all of those things come into play when choosing a home. Stay away from all of those things that I just talked about. Look for conformity. Look for something that is unique but conforming inside a subdivision. Cul-de-sacs do great on resales. Double lots, conservations do great. Waterways that are actual waterways. You want to distinguish between a pond and a lake, for instance, and also distinguish between a settling pond, which is not a waterfront property, although some realtors will put that in MLS as waterfront. But make sure you got at least a nice decent pond, lake, more preferable right there. But also that you have a fence or some type of separation between the house and the lake for protection of children that come over to the home, and that's just a safety thing right there. But something that a lot of people that are looking to buy a home are going to look at: is there a fence around the backyard to protect children from getting into the lake? So again, we're talking about questions that home buyers should be having or will come with when they're buying a home. When we come back from the break, I want to talk about some of the different addendums that go into the contract package, because when it's time to make an offer on a home, you're going to be using a state-approved contract with several addendums depending on your situation. So I'm going to run through some of those different situations and the addendums when we come back from the break. So in the meantime, please learn more at jamiemeloni.com. Go to thathomesearch.com if I can help you buying a home anywhere in the country. And again, new episodes of the Real Estate Edition air each Thursday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at thatbusinessnetwork.com. So you've been listening to the Real Estate Edition of That Business Show 2.0. I'm your host, Jamie Meloni, where real estate becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring type products: hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Hi, Jackie Skelton from JR World Travel here. If you travel, you need a licensed professional travel consultant, not a computer. Your licensed professional consultant can get you more for your time and your money. Value for your money and experience, not marketing salesmanship. When you're sick, you call the doctor. When you need legal advice, you call an attorney. So the next time you want to go on any type of travel, call your licensed professional travel consultant who actually represents you. We specialise in group travel, family reunions, weddings, to escorting large groups or making special arrangements for the disabled. Please call 844-249-0190. We are a full-service travel consultancy offering worldwide concierge service. Air, land, sea, rivers, resorts, locally, nationally and internationally. Remember that number, 844-249-0190.
The Real Estate Edition of That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Meloni. New episodes air each weekday morning, or I should say each Thursday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Real Estate Edition of the program. all weekday mornings at 7 a.m. is the regular edition of the Business Show 2.0, where we talk with different business owners, political and community leaders on the program. We'd love to hear your story, whether it's about business or about real estate. Reach out to me at tbsinterview.com for more information on how to come on the program. Again, tbsinterview.com. So on today's program, talking about buyers and what they need to know when they're making an offer on a home. And we're talking about the things that you're going to be most concerned with from the location of the home, the price of the home, and the condition of the homes. And those are the three things that as a buyer that you're going to be the most mindful of. But now it's time to make an offer on the home. It's a scary point because now you draw out the legal documents. And so what do you need to know? What do you need to be aware of here? So first off, it's important to use a real estate agent in this situation. A lot of FSBOs out there think they know what they're doing. They're going to pull old contracts off the internet. They're not going to pull the proper addendums. And so if you're dealing with a FSBO, which is a for sale by owner, I always want to make sure that people understand that acronym. For sale by owner, a seller that is selling the home without representation. You want to have still a real estate agent representing you in the sale of the property. Now, what happens with commission when a FSBO has a home on the market and you want to see that? This is a situation where a for sale by owner may or may not be offering a commission to the agent that brings them a buyer. Obviously, they're not paying a listing agent commission because they're representing themselves. So you can look for signs that say brokers protected. If they're marketing that on their for sale signs, then they're advertising realtors to bring buyers to the property and that they will pay them a commission. It might not be a good commission, but they're going to pay them something. That's what it means when it says brokers protected on a for sale sign. But what if it's a for sale by owner that you've come across, you've been working with a realtor, and you want to buy that home? Well, this is where buyer brokerage agreements come into play, because a good real estate agent will have an agreement with the buyer to be paid a certain commission in the sale of the property, and if the commission is not being paid by the seller, then the buyer will pay the commission on the close of the property. Regardless if you're dealing with a for sale by owner as a buyer and you've been working with a realtor, if you don't have a buyer brokerage agreement, you can cut them out completely and not owe them anything. That's one of the problems in real estate that I talked about on the last show, how realtors work with buyers and how buyers can cut them out of the transaction and they end up with zero income for their time invested. And we also see the result of that in higher commissions on the sale of properties. I discussed that in depth on a couple of episodes ago. But important for real estate agents that are listening, have a buyer brokerage agreement with your buyers in the event that they see it for sale by owner and want to make an offer on that you have a protection for commission in the event that the FSBO is not going to offer any type of commission. First line of defense as a buyer, ask your realtor to go talk to the person that is selling the home, see if they can negotiate some type of compensation to save you from having to either cut out your realtor or write a check to them if you want to be fair to somebody who has provided a service to you. All right, so the state approved contract in Florida, there's two types of them, or two ones that are standard. There's the as is, and then there's the regular residential for sale contract. It's very common in Florida for the as-is contract to be used. Other markets, I don't know, I don't think so as much. That has come about because of the prevalence of the bank-owned properties here in Florida. Before the market being dominated by foreclosures between 2008 and 2011, 2012, the residential standard contract was used. But because banks sold everything via as-is and those listing agents were dominating the market, it became very common for all realtors to just say as-is, or as-is for convenience of the seller. And it's not really fair to the buyer, and it can hinder the marketing of the home if the home seller is not offering some type of repair credit for the home. And that's the primary difference between the as-is and the regular residential sales contract, is that repair clause inside the contract. As is, as you're taking it as is, within a certain inspection period, it's either all or nothing. The standard as is, or the standard contract has in it a repair addendum that defaults to, I believe it's 1.5% of the sales price for a repair credit, given that the items are warrantable items inside the contract, meaning things like electrical, plumbing, roofing, AC that is backed up by an inspection. And so you can invoke that clause inside the contract to call for a specific repair credit, and it's got a blank in front of the default value, so you can ask for whatever type of repair credit that you want inside the standard contract. Most people, though, in Florida, in our market in Tampa Bay, though, are using the as-is contract. So know that at that point that it's all or nothing. You're taking it as is. You can go back to them and ask for a repair credit, but there's nothing inside the as-is contract that is going to require that the seller offer you any type of compensation for the repairs. So really, as a buyer, you should demand that your realtor present an offer on a standard contract. Listings, the listing agents most likely are probably going to advise the sellers to use an as-is contract, although good listing agents will advise the seller that you're going to hurt the marketability some of the home. But that's going to depend on where you're at in the marketplace. I'm not really certain if it hurts too much in Tampa Bay right now. That the jury is still out on that one. At that point, the contract is filled out. I'm not going to go through the different areas of the contract. I'll do that on another show. But I want to talk about some of the different addendums that are used in the sale of the property. If you're buying a condominium, or a condo for short, you're going to be required to use a condominium addendum or a condominium rider. And when you're buying inside a condominium, it's very important that you, in addition to doing an inspection of the property itself, that you do some type of due diligence or inspection on the association itself. Ask to review the budget, ask to review the financials on the property. It's a state law that on contracts that are condominiums, that you be provided the condominium docs. And on new construction, they have, it's 3 and 15. I get those backwards sometimes. There's a difference between new condominiums and resale condominiums in the number of days that they have to provide the condominium docs to you. But your cancellation and the contract periods that are defined inside the addendum do not start until you've been provided with the condominium docs. So if you're a seller of a condominium, make sure you have those ready to give to your listing agent at the time of contract, so that the moment any offer comes in, those documents can be given to the buyer, so as not to delay those days inside the condominium rider that would give the buyer an option of canceling the contract because of a bylaw they may not like, or because the budget is not what they like, or because they see that the condominium's losing lots of money, and why would they want to buy into the condominium, which is the situation with many condominiums in Florida. So condominiums can be a dangerous investment right now in Florida because of the financial situation for many of them. Regardless, though, you're going to have a condominium addendum inside the contract. One of the first things that's going to be reviewed is approval of the buyer. 9 times out of 10, the condominium is going to require some type of approval process for the buyer. So if you're a convicted felon or a sex offender, just I tell you right now, just stay clear of condominiums, because you're probably not going to get approved to buy inside a condominium. So as a listing agent or somebody selling a home, you might want to find that out up front, so they don't waste your time with making an offer on the property. So background checks on the buyer are going to be a component of buying a condominium. Also, whether or not the association has first right of refusal is also going to be disclosed inside the condominium disclosure. First right of refusal means that the condominium can step in and act as buyer of the property. Use the seller, sell the property on the marketplace for $150,000. The condominium association could say, we want to buy it for $150,000. They don't do that, though, until an accepted offer is put into place. They can then step into the shoes of that buyer. So as a buyer, you need to make sure that you know if the association has first right of refusal, because they can take you completely out of the contract. Seller is probably going to be indifferent to whether or not the association buys it or the buyer does it. The buyer's a buyer. They agree to a certain price, so whoever closes on it closes on it. They don't care. But the buyers are going to care because they wanted that property. But an association, if they have the first rights of a refusal, can step out, can knock out the buyer inside of the contract. Also, inside the condominium rider will be disclosure of the fees. All condominiums have fees associated with them, and so that it pays for the common areas of the property. And I always say, when you buy a condominium, you're really going into a business with X number of unit owners, depending on how big the development is. So if it's a 60 unit development, you're 1/60th of the owner of the common areas. You have ownership rights within inside the building. but roofs, common areas, exterior walls, grounds, all that are typically under ownership and control of the association. And that's where special assessments come in. You want to ask the association of any pending special assessments, and that will also, or should be, disclosed in a condominium rider. And special assessments come into play when something happens that is over and beyond the budget or over and beyond the reserves. Say a lightning strike, strikes one of the buildings and destroys a roof. They're going to have to go to the owners of the development and say everybody needs to kick in $1,000 because we got to put a new roof on the south end of the building now. Or maybe the grass is dying and we need to resaw it, all the grass. That stuff should be allowed for in the budget and the reserves, things that are expected to go, such as the roof, such as the grass, but things that are unexpected, that's when special assessments come into play. And so that's something that you need to be asking about also when you buy a condominium. And again, be mindful of that 3-day avoidability of the contract that begins when you are provided the condominium docs as a buyer. So if you execute a contract on day 1 and day 7 you're given the condominium documents and the contract had an inspection of 5 days, well, now you've got another 3 days that begin at day 7 to cancel the contract because of whatever you don't like inside those condominium documents. So as a seller or as a listing agent, get those condominium docs over to the buyer ASAP so you don't have that type of disjointed inspection periods that will allow a buyer to walk from a contract. So again, you're listening to the real estate edition of That Business Show 2.0. We're going through things buyers should be aware of when they are purchasing a property and going through some of the different addendums now to be aware of in addition to the contract when you're making an offer on the home. So I'll cover some of the other important addendums when we come back from the break. And in the meantime, learn more about myself and my real estate business, jamiemeloni.com, and visit thathomesearch.com if I can help you buying a home anywhere in the country. Again, thathomesearch.com. We'll be back in a moment.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Hi, Jackie Skelton from JR World Travel here. If you travel, you need a licensed professional travel consultant, not a computer. Your licensed professional consultant can get you more for your time and your money. Value for your money and experience, not marketing salesmanship. When you're sick, you call the doctor. When you need legal advice, you call an attorney. So the next time you want to go on any type of travel, call your licensed professional travel consultant who actually represents you. We specialise in group travel, family reunions, weddings, to escorting large groups or making special arrangements for the disabled. Please call 844-249-0190. We are a full-service travel consultancy offering worldwide concierge service. Air, land, sea, rivers, resorts, locally, nationally and internationally. Remember that number, 844-249-0190.
And we're back to the real estate edition of That Business Show 2.0, where real estate becomes show business. Going through some of the different addendums that you as a buyer should be aware of when you're purchasing a property. Again, I'm centered around Tampa, Florida, and so the talk is going to be mostly geared towards this marketplace. Other areas are going to have different addendums and laws and things that go into play whenever real estate is transacted. And so right now we're going through the different addendums that are most common here in the contracts in Florida. So just covering the condominium addendum, and that differs from the homeowners association disclosure. So very important, don't confuse a homeowners association with a condominium association. And you'll see there's written out sometimes as HOAs and COAs, homeowner association and condominium owners associations, are those acronyms, but they are completely different types of arrangements. Again, a condominium is a joint, shared ownership of common areas amongst a building that is, all connected together, so you have common ownerships. Homeowners associations are either townhomes or detached single-family homes that have a common bond, or you're all within the same area, and so you want to protect the conformity of the neighborhood and you want to protect the values of the neighborhood, so they form an association to have standards and practices that protect the values of the home. And so an HOA disclosure will be required in the situation where you have a homeowners association that is involved. Florida has a lot of homeowners associations. Every new home that's being built is being built inside of a subdivision right now, it seems. Inner city homes are in Tampa are not in subdivisions most often, but the new homes are generally inside of homeowners associations. So you should be provided with the home association disclosure. That will give you the fees associated with that. Condominiums are almost always going to be more expensive than homeowners associations. Homeowners associations are going to have either most often an annual fee, although the newer ones are ramping that up even more and more. They are moving the monthly fees. Some have quarterly, some have biannual, but they range, and they're usually in line with whether or not they have a CDD along with those. Something else that you as a buyer should be looking for when you're buying a home, and that's going to be inside the tax bill. And a CDD is a non-ad valorem tax, which means it's a tax that's not accorded to the value of the property, that is set for any homes inside a certain area. It's basically a special assessment, so to speak, on the community. CDD stands for Community Development District. It's additional tax dollars that goes to funding things inside of that community, roads, parks, pools, and things like that. And they usually are going to have some type of life, 20, 30 years or whatnot, but they can add tremendously to the tax base of the property, and rarely is a CDD under $1,000 a year. They usually are $2,000 to $3,000 a year in Tampa. And so if you think about that, that's anywhere between, a couple $100 a month up to $300, $400 a month, in addition to what you're paying on the mortgage, or with if you're buying with cash, what you're buying to pay the taxes on the property. So usually if a home has a CDD, the HOA fee is lower, but for homes that don't have the CDD, the HOA fee is higher. So they've come to realize that those two things are a trade-off from the management inside of the associations. And I see that all the time whenever I'm doing analysis for properties for these investment groups, because every single dollar counts. So CDD, lower HOA fee. No CDD, higher HOA fee. So, but again, it helps protect the conformity. It helps protect the value inside of the home. And just be remembered that when you live inside of a homeowners association, you have rules and you have restrictions just like you have inside of a condominium. And you want to review those covenants and those restrictions, because there may be things in there you don't like. Some of them can be pretty abrasive and restrictive. There's some in Tampa where you've got to put your home in there, you've got to put your car in the garage at night. You can't leave it out in the driveway, or that's an HOA violation. Anything that can be seen from the road or exterior of the property is regulatable by the association. And so that includes trees, that includes grass, that includes the blinds in your windows, that includes the mulch in your mulch beds, includes the driveway of your home, whether it's dirty or not. Those are all HOA violations. They can even regulate and fine you for the roof. They'll say the roof is dirty. How do you clean a roof? You can't go up there with a pressure washer and blast the roof. you gotta replace it. Although there are chemicals you can put on roofs that are supposed to kind of lighten them up and everything. But a lot of different rules that associations can enact inside homeowners associations, with the idea of protecting the value of the property. A lot of people don't like HOAs. Some people love HOAs. They're generally speaking nice family-owned homes, typically nice places to go into if you don't mind a few rules. Some other addendums that you will see in place, the FHA and VA addendum. If you're buying a home with an FHA or a VA mortgage, those addendums are going to be required, and they're one and the same on the comprehensive addendum that's provided for in the comprehensive rider in the state of Florida. The FHA addendum talks about fees and prepayments and how the seller has to pay up to a maximum of blank or $100 in an FHA mortgage. That can be a negotiating point with an offer, but that is spelled out in the addendums. Also, it talks about the appraised value of the property. The property has to meet the appraised value of the property, or else the cancellation clause can be invoked. Also, the VA financing, which is open to all military members, that is outlined in the FHA and VA addendum, and outlines fees and prepayments and appraisal repairs and who covers those costs inside of the property. Other addendums that are included, the appraisal contingency. There's a lot of addendums that will be added to a contract by certain agents that are kind of overkill, I say. And the appraisal contingency is spelled out in the mortgage clause inside of the contract. But there is a separate appraisal contingency. But if you see that used, that's probably because the selling agent feels that the offer on the property is not going to come in at the appraised value. They feel that the price or the offer on the house is over and beyond what the appraisal is. So it's a red flag to use a seller that they are not certain that your home is worth what the offer that's been accepted for on the table is. So just be mindful of that being used. That's just usually a red flag and can tip you off to the fact that you may have overpriced your home. Some other contingencies or other addendums. The short sale contingency addendum, very common in Florida up until a couple of years, probably about a year or two ago. Short sales are just now, what did I say on my last show, about 3 or 4% of the Tampa Bay market, whereas they were like 15 to 20% of the marketplace in 2011 and 2012. But a short sale contingency is a situation where the seller owes more than the home is worth, and you as a buyer understand that the lien holder, the mortgagee, has to release the lien or agree to take a short payoff on the mortgage to affect the sale of the property. So if you're buying a short sale, you're going to have in there the short sale contingency addendum. Homeowners and flood insurance is another addendum that can be added into a contract. If you don't like the insurance rates on a property, or if you find out the home is in a flood zone, that information is readily available, though. At least in Florida it is. It's on every MLS listing. For people that want a full flood certification, they can contact CoreLogic. Realtors can do this, and for $12, they'll give you a certified flood disclosure, flood certification. Ideally, you want to look for homes that are in flood zone X. That means there's not going to be a major flood event in like 100 years. Flood zones A or AE mean that they are prone to flooding, and you're going to be paying higher insurance rates. And that's important because of the Bigger Waters Act that came into play several years ago, that was going to reset all of the insurance rates across the country to their actuarially, risks, so that other people in higher elevations weren't supplementing the values or the premiums that were being paid in the lower lying higher risk areas. That was tabled for a few years, but it's going to come back into play here in a few years. So if you're in low-lying areas, and in Tampa Bay, that is South Tampa, that's all of Pinellas County, anywhere out in the Keys and on the islands out there in the water, are going to experience tremendous increases in their flood insurance rates, because FEMA, which is which supplies the NFIP, National Flood Insurance Program, which I believe is regulated by FEMA, is a national program that is put out by the government. Flood insurance, again, is not a private marketplace. It's a national marketplace. And so people in higher elevations are ending up supplementing the cost of people in lower lying areas. And so Bigger Waters was going to correct that. And so people that were living in Denver, Colorado, their rates were going to come way down, while people that are living in Tampa, Florida, the rates were going to come up. So be looking out for homes that are in flood zones, and migrate to the homes that are in flood zone X, and stay away from flood zones A and E. And again, another addendum people will put in the as-is addendum. That doesn't really make sense when you're using an as-is contract, but some people will do, like I said, overkill inside the contracts, and then they have a right to inspect and cancel addendum. That is also overkill. That's spelled out inside of the contract as it is. There's an addendum in here for defective drywall. That's really going to be spelled out inside an inspection addendum or contingency right there, but there is an addendum that you could put in for defective drywall to just kind of, voice your concern for that. And so altogether, there's about 25 different addendums that can go along with the state contract. And I'll cover the state contract in full in an upcoming episode, go through all the different lines and paragraphs and what you as a buyer or seller should be concerned with or looking for to give yourself the best to hand inside of the transaction. So again, if I can help you in real estate, please visit jamiemeloni.com. If you're looking to buy a home anywhere in the country, go to thathomesearch.com and catch new episodes of the Real Estate Edition each week or each Thursday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on thatbusinessnetwork.com. And we've made this a separate podcast on iTunes too, in addition to the regular That Business Show 2.0, the Real Estate Edition, available now in iTunes. And all videos available in high definition on YouTube. So hope everybody has a great rest of their day. And again, you've been listening to That Business Show 2.0, the Real Estate Edition, with your host, Jamie Meloni, where real estate becomes show business.